Several weeks ago, we put up the message on the signboard out by the road, the one that says, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." We put that up right after the killing of the Iranian general and the sudden fear that many were caught up in that worldwide violence might soon spread. Though tensions were high for a little while, that outbreak never came, at least not yet, and not beyond the normal cycles of violence that we're used to. You'd think it would be time to change the message on the sign then, but it still says, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." Why? Well, mostly because I have been putting off thinking of something else to put on the sign. But also, I guess, in the meantime, it's still a message that fits, isn't it? It still applies. It probably always will. I was thinking about that message, that call to let peace begin with us, when I read through these verses from Matthew chapter 5 this past week. Among all the blessings, the Beatitudes that Jesus lifts up, the one that stuck out to me in this moment in time was the one that says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." We so often think of peace as that thing that needs to happen in other places, among other people who are caught up in chaos or war or bloodshed. But the truth is, we have a part in the peace that God wants for all the world. And that's why Jesus lifts up the work of peacemakers and calls them blessed. You remember, don't you, how these Beatitudes, this list of blessings from Mark 5 works? Jesus called blessed an unlikely cast of characters. It's not the ones who look like they're well put together or who are winning at life who Jesus says are blessed. Jesus calls blessed those whose efforts usually don't get them rewards or recognition, like those who are meek, or those who are merciful, or those who are pure in heart. Jesus wants them to know that God blesses them, cares for them, has a special place in the heart of God for them. And among these are the peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. And who are the peacemakers anyway? Well, what do you think? What is a peacemaker? Because Jesus isn't talking about United Nations peacekeeping forces or professional hostage negotiators or even those who are well trained at talking others down from doing something drastic. Isn't Jesus talking about anyone who seeks peace in a situation, who places themselves between people whose relationship is strained, or into circumstances where trust is a challenge, and works for peace? And don't all of us have opportunities to do that all the time? Like maybe there are two people at your workplace who don't get along. They complain to you about each other and they want you to agree with them. Do you join in? Or do you seek to bridge the gap between them so that they can be at peace? Or maybe at school there is someone who is being treated badly. Could be a young woman who is getting attention from a young man that seems like harassment. Do you see that and then look the other way? Or do you speak up and speak out for the one who needs an advocate. Or maybe in your neighborhood there is a new family that moves in who doesn't look like or act like the other families on your block. Will they only know the suspicion and the cold stares of their neighbors? Or will someone make them feel welcome and at peace? Someone like you. Well, those are just imaginary examples, but not too far from real life, I suspect. And in each of those examples, and so many more that you can think of, two things are very true. The first is that we have the power to do something to bring peace. Our voice, our presence, our care can bring the peace and mercy of God. Yes, everyday life presents us with these opportunities to make peace. And the second thing is that doing this is really hard. Speaking up and speaking out can put us at odds with others. It can even seem like it puts us in danger sometimes. If we speak up for another, we may find ourselves the target of scorn. If we align ourselves with the outcasts, we may become cast out ourselves. When we strive for peace, we may be disappointed that peace doesn't come. I'm sure many of you have stories about this reality too. Stories about times when you took a chance and took a leap to be a bearer of peace in strained relationships or among untrusting people, and you got beat up or burned, and you still bear the wounds from it. But you see, this is why Jesus says to you, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." It's Jesus' way of saying, when you do this work, this difficult work of being the peace of God in the lives of others, God knows it. And God cares. And God values your efforts. And God calls you children of God. And what does that mean? Well, what comes to mind is this image, this thing that could happen, I suppose. Suppose there are some parents who go out, leave their children at home for a while, and while their parents are gone, the kids decide to clean the whole house. It could happen. They wash the dishes, they vacuum the floors, they do the laundry, they clean out the garage. This is sounding like a great idea. And when the parents come home, they see the work. The hard work. The loving work that their children have done. And they say, "Oh, children. Oh, children, thank you." Can you hear it? That term of endearment, that loving affirmation. That's what Jesus promises God says to us when we are peacemakers. God calls us, "Oh, children. Children of God." We are already children, but God calls us children, this term of endearment and love for us. Because God knows. God knows this work of peacemaking is hard, and God knows we need affirmation and grace, and God's great love to continue to be blessed peacemakers. O Lord, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Amen.